Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something really big. We're launching an expedition, you might say, into one of parenting's most, well, crucial and sometimes bewildering landscapes, connecting with your team. It really can feel like navigating uncharted waters, can't it? But our mission today is to give you, our listeners, the compass and insights to, not just survive this phase, but to genuinely thrive. Both you and your adolescent, we've pulled together quite a stack of research and practical strategies to help make that happen.
That's right. And it's such an interesting paradox, isn't it? Because while teens are absolutely on this vital journey toward independence, separating from the family unit, their fundamental need for like a real connection with their parents doesn't just disappear. It simply evolves. It takes on a new form, maybe more nuance, that we as parents kind of need to learn to recognize and respond to.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. We talk a lot about teens wanting independence, pushing away. But doesn't all that push for autonomy mean they actually, well, need us less? How does that square with the huge brain changes happening? It feels a bit contradictory.
That's a fantastic question. And it really gets to the heart of why this connection is just so critical. What's truly amazing is the sheer amount of change happening in the adolescent brain. It's really undergoing a significant remodel. We're talking major shifts in the prefrontal cortex. That's the brain's control center for things like decision-making, planning, impulse control, and also the limbic system, which is deeply involved in emotion, reward-seeking, all that intense stuff. And it's, groundbreaking research like the work from folks like Blakemore and Mills back in 2014 that really showed how these changes make teens incredibly sensitive to stress. They're more reactive to social cues, highly motivated by what their peers think, much more so than younger kids or adults. They're navigating this wild new internal landscape.
Right. So even with all that outward pushing, that drive for independence, the surprising truth is they still profoundly need their parents, just, yeah, differently than when they were little.
Precisely. Exactly. And this connection, it isn't just about feeling good, warm fuzzies. It's a powerful research-backed protective factor. Think about this. Way back, Resnick and colleagues showed in '97 that connected parenting acts as a real, tangible safeguard. A safeguard against a whole range of risky behaviors, things like drug use, early sexual activity, even academic disengagement. And then bringing it more up to date, a really compelling study in JAMA Pediatrics by Guzman and others in 2019, it found this strong link between parent-adolescent connection and significantly lower rates of, well, really serious things like suicide attempts, violence, substance use, and this protection extended all the way into adulthood.
Wow. Those are incredibly profound impacts. Honestly, a bit daunting when you think about it. It makes me wonder, for a parent who feels like they're already struggling, maybe losing that connection, where do they even start?
Yeah, it can feel overwhelming. But what this research truly tells us, the core message maybe, is that connection with your teen isn't about control. It's really about building an unshakable foundation of emotional safety and relational trust. And that, for many parents, that's the pivotal shift in mindset.
That's such a crucial reframing because I think, so many parents default to control maybe out of fear or habit. So, okay, if we accept this powerful importance of connection, what does it actually sound like,
Yeah.
in our everyday conversations?
Yeah, good question. How do we actually talk to our teens in a way that builds this connection instead of, triggering their pushback? Let's consider a really practical example, reframing our language. So instead of a controlling statement like, you better not screw this up,
Yeah.
right, which puts all the pressure on, imagine saying something like, wow, this seems really important to you. I trust that you'll figure out what you need, want to talk through it. See the difference. That alternative statement, it signals several key things to your teen. It says, I see your experience. I respect your growing autonomy.
Yeah.
And crucially, I'm here for support, but I'm not going to take over. You're not fixing it for them. You're offering presence, partnership.
That shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hearing it, you can feel the difference. It really moves from like a closed door to an open invitation. So, okay, if we're trying to build this kind of connection, what's the very first, maybe most fundamental communication tool we should grab?
The first, and I'd argue maybe the most foundational, is reflective listening. This basically means mirroring your teen's words and feelings back to them, to show them you genuinely understand, or at least you're trying to. So, for example, if your teen bursts out with, I hate school, it's so pointless, instead of jumping in with reasons why school isn't pointless, you might respond with something like, wow, you're feeling really frustrated, huh? Like it just doesn't make sense to be there every day. So even if you totally disagree about school being pointless, you're validating the emotion, the frustration.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily validating the behavior or the complaint itself. And research, like from Shum and colleagues in 2021, shows this kind of validation genuinely helps teens regulate their emotions better. And it makes them
Yeah.
feel closer to their parents and build that emotional anchor.
That's powerful. Yeah, validating the feeling itself, separating it from whether you agree or disagree with the statement.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, what's another practical tool we can use?
Our second tool is pretty straightforward, but again, harder in practice. Ask, don't assume. This is all about using open-ended questions, questions that invite real dialogue, not just a yes-no answer, and crucially, without judgment. Think about questions like, hey, what's been on your mind lately? Or maybe, what's something you wish adults understood about your generation? That can be fascinating.
Hmm.
Even simple ones like, what was the best part of your day? And what was the worst part? The key here is genuine curiosity. You're not interrogating them, trying to catch them out. You're aiming to understand, to just gather information about their inner world.
Right. Curiosity, not interrogation. I like that. Okay, so we've talked about the why connection is so vital and what that connection actually sounds and feels like in conversation. Now, I know our listeners are probably thinking, okay, give me the how. What are some of those science-backed strategies I can actually put into practice, maybe even starting tonight?
Absolutely. And, you might expect really complex, maybe neuroscience-heavy solutions, right? But what's truly remarkable when you look at decades of research is how the most profoundly impactful strategies are often, well, deceptively simple. They're about consistency and presence. Let's dive into 6 of them. Number 1, listen more than you talk.
Sounds obvious,
Yeah.
but hard.
So hard, especially for parents, right? We want to fix, advise, share our wisdom.
Hmm.
But the Gottman Institute, through work by Gottman and DeClaire back in '97, found that teens who feel emotionally coached, meaning their parents really acknowledge their feelings, help them work through them, those teens actually have better emotional regulation. They have fewer behavioral problems down the line. It's really about letting them lead the conversation sometimes and truly hearing them out before jumping in.
Okay.